Very warm welcome to one and all. I'm truly delighted to see you all joining us for the webinar today on updates as we take you through the e-waste management rules of 2022 as amended. My name is Ipsita Roy, and I'm honored to be your host for today's training session. Today's discussion promises to be highly insightful as we delve into crucial topics related to updates focused on various regulatory updates and producers registration under the e-waste management rules of 2016. Today, our speaker is Mr. Abhishek Garg. And during the webinar, we will have the opportunity to learn from our expert speaker and gain valuable insights into the latest developments in EPR. Whether you are a producer or any other stakeholder that is obligated under the rules, the knowledge shared here today will help us all navigate the complexities of environmental regulations more effectively. Do not worry, we will be sharing a consolidated rulebook, this PPT, a pictorial illustrations of all the triple E categories that are regulated under the rules, and the video recording of today's webinar link. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this webinar. Your presence and engagement will undoubtedly enrich the discussions and make this webinar all the more valuable. So let's start and we dive into the agenda for today's discussion, which includes the second amendment under the e-waste management rules 2022, training for producers registration, recent updates and developments that we have noticed through CPCB. After the presentation, we will have a Q&A session where you can ask any queries you may have. Please use the raise hand feature and you may introduce yourself as the moderator allows you to speak and thereafter ask your query. Our speaker will be there to answer you. And throughout the session, of course, you can key in your queries, you can type your queries in the chat box, and our experts are here to answer you. Over to you, Mr. Abhishek. You're on mute, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ipshita, for setting up the context. And thank you, every one of you, for coming in today here for this session on the e-waste management rules amendments. So without, sparing any further time, let's delve into the same and let us start. So before getting into the rule in terms of the amendments, let me take you through a quick evolution of the rules. So we all know 2016 rule was the EVS management rules, which identified items were identified and obligated under the e-waste management rules, which went through an amendment in 2018. But subsequent to that, in 2022 November, the 2016 rule was superseded by this e-waste management rules 2022, wherein new 85 items were introduced and obligated. Subsequent to that, there has been two amendment which has happened under e-waste management rules, which is one is what we will be discussing today in detail. Also, there was a slight amendment into the rule, first amendment into the rule in Jan 2023. Also, there has been a lot of developments wherein a new portal has been introduced, SOP for producer registration has been introduced, frequently asked question has also been introduced, and in the portal, the feature for amendment of the application has also been introduced, which we will be, presenting to you today. Moving ahead, uh, before getting into the amendments, just an overview of the e-waste management rules which is currently active. This is a one-pager summary of the e-waste management rules. What are the obligation? What are the EPR targets being notified? And what are the obligated items? And what are the other regulatory implementation? First, starting with the EPR targets. For the EPR targets for the listed equipment, which is 106 triple E items, they have a phase-wise target and a slab-wise target for the respective years. So for 2 financial years, which encompasses from FY23 till FY 2025, the EPR target for the producers will be 60%. which will increase by 10% from the next two for the next 2 years, and thereon it will increase to 80% for the next 2 years, and from 29 onwards it will be 80%. The target calculation methodology is on the basis of average life of these items, which has been notified through the CPCB SOP and on the portal as well. For the imported items, the importer will be having a 100% import obligation for the material which are not re-exported. To fulfill your target, CPCB has clarified, do you have to fulfill your target by procuring the EPR credits through the CPCB online portal from the registered recycler only, and the rule is brand and geography neutral. Who are the obligated entities? We all know: manufacturers, producers, refurbishers, and recycler. You can see the EPR target is applicable for producer majorly, and refurbish and recycler are the, I would say, the processor of the electronic waste. Further, entities are not allowed to do with the business without EPR registration and shall not deal with any unregistered entities. In order to issue the certificate, it is mandatory for recycler and refurbisher to register on the online portal, and only online certificates when it is active and the mechanism is clear, then only that will be accepted. For now, there has been a recent notice and update which we will be showing in the upcoming slides. To put a point, the refurbishing certificates will not extinguish your EPR targets. It will only extend or defer your EPR target, which is the major thinking, major cause behind the refurbishment, which extends the life of the equipment. Further, there are 7 categories under which separate identified EEE items has been specified. So first, in their ITEW, which is information technology and telecommunication equipment, there are 27 listed items which are obligated. Similarly, for consumer electronics, there are 19 items. There are, for large and small electric equipments, there are 34 items. For electrical and electronic tools, there are 8 items. There are toys, leisure, sport related equipments, there are 6 items, and for medical devices, there are listed 10 items, and for the laboratory instrument, there are 2 items. Further, online registration and for is the first starting in this EPR compliances for e-waste, wherein all entities need to register on the online and disclose the related informations required and the required under the registration application form. We will take you through that briefly, and we will show you this, sample screenshots of the systems as well. Further, they have came out this year, and which we all would be aware about, is about RoHS compliance as per a European norm of 5058 1, which is minimum or a restriction for use of some harmful materials in our electronic items or their components. The EPR certificate, what CPCB has, if what rule speaks about, will be having a validity of only 2 years. Under the e-waste management rules, solar photovoltaic modules are also covered under the chapter 5. And there is a limit of producer as to how much they can procure the EPR certificates from the registered producers. There is environmental compensation also introduced, which will penalizing those who are non-compliant to the regulations. There are also awareness related obligation which you have to also file during your registration. And yes, as a part of reporting compliance and compliance reporting, there is an annual and quarterly frequency of reporting which has been notified under the rule. Also, there is a formula given which helps in calculating what would be the EPR credit that could be generated by the recycler, and the details and the conversion factor for these formula calculation will be notified by CPCB soon. Now, getting into directly into the recent amendment which is released on July 24th, which is a very important amendment for all of us who are involved in this EPR market. First is, there has been a amendment or insertion under the rule under the responsibilities of manufacturers, refurbishers, and recyclers. This insertion is common across for all these 3 entities, and the insertion is about that these entities are responsible to ensure environmentally friendly management refrigerant generated during the weaving or and or equipment technology as per the guidelines issued. So there is responsibility for manufacturer, refurbisher, and recyclers for the refrigerations management in general during the manufacturing or end of life stage. And this is the same insertion of this particular clause is for these three entities under the rule 5.4, under the rule 7.5, and under the rule 9.11. Further, there is an insertion under rule 14.1 about EPR credits. They have notified saying that in case of multiple end products of recycling, the conversion factor for generation of EPR certificate shall be determined as per the guidelines issued by CPCB with the approval of the steering committee. So there has been a lot of advocacies and questions being raised to CPCB in cases wherein the recycler is producing a lot of end products, different kinds of end products through their recycling. What could be the conversion factor for such cases? So CPCB will be coming out of separate conversion factors for multiple end products from the recycling process. Number 37 from the schedule 2 remove. So in this case it talks about it's about removal of lead as action in application of medical devices. So there has been a slight changes in the schedule 2 which talks about exception of specific application. So we'll take you through that as well. Now coming to a
Uh,
very important amendment.
mm, Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
Abhishek sir. There's some network issue. Maybe I'll request you to maybe share your screen once again.
Okay, just a moment. Let me know once. Just a moment. Am I audible now, Shira?
Yes, yes, you are.
And is the screen visible?
Screen is now visible. Yes. Um,
Better?
yeah, yeah, better.
Yeah. So, coming back to the same slide, wherein the amendment related under Chapter 7, which talks about restriction in use or reduction in use of hazardous substances. So, there are multiple amendments under the Rule 16, which talks about reduction in RoHS compliances. And to move before understanding that exemptions, let us first go back to what is that compliance which has been put under Rule 16.1. So under Rule 16.1, which talks about the every producer of triple E items and their components or consumable or parts listed in Schedule 1, which is all 106 items now, are and their components or parts spares do not contain the hazardous substances like lead, mercury, cadmium, xyz, etc. beyond a maximum concentration level of 0.1% and 0.01% in case of homogeneous materials. Now there under the same rule, the 16.2 has been now replaced by this particular amendment, which talks about that RoHS compliances or RoHS compliances shall not be applicable for components, consumables, spare parts, and parts for listed items, triple E listed in Schedule 2B, which is 21 items. So basically, they have further broken down the schedule 1, which talks about 106 items in terms of RoHS compliances. Now what they have done, they have given the extension, or they have removed the applicability of the RoHS compliances for the components, consumable or parts for the items listed in schedule 2B. And which are those items? These are the 21 items which was introduced through e-waste management rules 2016. So this schedule 2B are the list of items, again referring back to the 21 items which are the old list as per e-waste management rules 2016. Now for those items, the components, spare parts, and the consumables, the RoHS compliances is not applicable for the products introduced into the market on or before 1st May 2014, provided RoHS compliant parts are not available. Again, repeating as this is an important one, that this particular through this insertion, now the ROHS compliance is not applicable for the consumable components, spare parts for of the triple listed items of 21 items introduced into the market before 1st May 2014, if the ROHS compliance parts are not available into the market. So this is that schedule 2B which talks about, and this is what the compliance not applicable, ROHS compliance not applicable for the components of these 21 listed items. Moving on, there is further insertion into the same rule through 16.2a and 16.2b. Now, this 16.2a and 2b takes the reference, and there is a new schedule which has been inserted called as Schedule 2c. Now, what does it talks about? 2A. This talks about the provision of RoHS compliance shall not apply to the triple E items specified in Schedule 2C, which is the newly introduced 85 triple E items placed in the market on or before 1st April 2025. So basically, the RoHS compliances for the newly listed 85 item has been extended till for 31st March 2025. So the products which are introduced before this, the RoHS compliances applicability has been extended till that time. And for the consumable components, parts or spares required for these 85 items, the RoHS compliances is extended to 1st April 2028, and that is why there you see a new schedule which is listing down the 85 new items. So what they have done, they have broken down the ROHS compliances applicability and non-applicability in two forms: Schedule 2B and Schedule 2C. 2B is the old items, 2C is the newer items. Move and the 2A talks about the RoHS compliances extension for the triple E items, which is the major item, and rule 16.2B talks about the components, spares and consumables of these 85 items, which is further extended till 1st April 2028. Moving on. Further, there has been a Schedule 2A which is also introduced, which talks about applications which are exempted from the requirement of sub rule 1 of 16, and this are the list which has been introduced and through this amendment. So this talks about clearly for the medical devices and monitoring control instruments. So application exempted from the provision of sub rule 1 of 16, which is the RoHS compliances, specific to medical devices and monitoring and control instruments, including laboratory equipment as listed in Schedule 1. So this is an additional exemption list has been added through Schedule 2B. Moving on, this was the amendment which is recently came on the July, which we explained. Now, recently, there's a good news wherein CPCB has started the registration and they have released the registration SOP for the registration of recyclers under e-waste. They have came out with the SOP, they have came out with the instruction sheet as well, and there it is available on the portal. Further, recently there has on June 30th, there was a notice which was circular which was issued by CPCB to the Joint Secretary, in which Joint Secretary of the Customs, in which they have extended the date of 31st July till 30th August, wherein the imports for this 85 newly listed item should be done on the can be accepted on the basis of the undertaking given by the producers to CPCB and as well as the custom authority. So previously the date and the last date for availing this kind of arrangement for releasing your import consignment was till July. Now that has still till June. Now that has been extended to the August. Moving on, and this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the EPR targets fulfillment and EPR target fulfillment from through the registered recycler and through the online certificate. As we all know, the online portal for procuring certificate and the registration of recycler had just started on the online tool. Till that time, CPCB had released one circular wherein they have clarified and guided and given a direction to the producers to what to ensure, what to keep to ensure proving their compliances under the e-waste management rules or the EPR fulfillment. So they have said recyclers are requested to generate EPR certificate through EPR with the help of GST linked EPR invoices only. Now, over here, they have said recyclers need to maintain the record of purchases and sales of different e-waste and recovered materials. So basically, they need to ensure they have the GST invoices of procurement of the electronic waste procured. They need to have GST invoices for the sales done after the recycling of those electronic waste procured by the recycler. And this e-invoices through GST portal for purchase and sales of end product both needs to be there. Now, producers are to accept only GST linked in invoices for end products from e-waste recycler as a proof of recycling. So again, this is a control point which has been directed by CPCB, saying that in nutshell, if what producer needs to do, if a recycler who is giving a certificate for 100 tons of some item ITEW1, then a producer need to ensure that they ask for the GST linked invoices of the purchases of e-waste from the recyclers, and also the sale of the end product after the recycling to the ultimate final customer, and share it with the producer. And producer need to ensure that these are genuine, authentic, to ensure go back and report to the government that they have fulfilled their EPR compliances. So this is an, I would say, interim arrangement till the time the online portal is active with all the registered PWP at one place, their EPR certificate credit or EPR credit at one place. Now moving on to the registrations requirement. While recycler SOP has come, but the producer registration SOP has been there. But this one pager talks about the key things what SOP talks about for producer registration. Now, one thing is very clear, everybody needs to register through this online portal. Producers who were registered under e-waste management rules 2016 has to register again on this portal. There will be no physical application or hard copies will be accepted. The registration which you will take through this portal will be valid for 5 years. Renewal application need to be applied again after 5 years from the date of registration. The self-declaration as per RoHS provisions document availability as per EN 50581, which is the self-declaration required for the registration process, which will show you in the upcoming slides. You also need to provide the awareness plan on during the registration process. Registration certificate will contain the registration number and list of triple E along with their EPR obligation, which is EPR targets. They have further said that CPCB will once you file your application, CPCB will revert within the 25 days for if there is it's an incomplete application, or if there is any query from CPCB, and then producer will have to revert to the query raised by CPCB within 7 days of receiving the query from the CPCB. Now, and CPCB will issue the certificate within 30 working days. That is what they have taken that timeline. Also, they have tried to ensure there is a frequent connect between the producer and the regulators, in which they have said producer can connect through VC virtual call on the provided time slot for query addressal. Member Secretary of CPCB is the ultimate approving authority as per the SOP. CPCB can revoke the application for up to 3 years after giving an opportunity in compliance, after giving an opportunity to be heard, in addition to the environmental compensation which they can charge for any non-compliances. Further, decision for revocation will be communicated within 10 working days, and registration fees while you're applying for the registration application, the registration fees will be as per the decision of Central Board in 94th meeting. So currently it is as per CPCB, there is no standard rates of application fee which has been given. Now, for the registration, it has been broken down into three basic parts. First is create your login, which is again a 7-step process of creating a login. Then there is a part A wherein you need to input all the very necessary details about the company information, about the authorized person information, all those details and the doc related information and SIN numbers. And also you have to provide the list of obligated items which in which you are dealing and or you are selling in the market. Further, part B, the sales of those sales quantum of those listed items needs to be provided, along with cover letter on the company's letterhead as per the format given for the given under the SOP. And also there is an affidavit needs to be required on a stamp paper. There is a CA certificate required, and there is a self-declaration on the RoHS, which is given a format which is already there, and a detailed awareness plan which is required to be given for the registration. Now moving on, as I said, the first step is creating a login. So for doing that, this is the portal, and it's very simple: EPR ewaste gov.in, and that's available in this presentation. You can click and go onto this website. Click on the sign up, and it will give you four options who you want to register as. Let's say we click on producer to register from here. It will open up the 7-step login process wherein it will ask which type of producer. One key thing here for the companies who are already registered under e-waste management rule 2016. If you are already registered, then you will have to provide your EPR old authorization number, and then it will start with taking your email IDs, taking your phone numbers, getting certain important details, sending OTPs, company details, and all those details, and with the authorized person details to be provided. Now, once you have done that, you go back and put your email ID and password and log in into the system. Once you log in, you click here. There are three tabs you will see on this particular toggle here where you click. There is a dashboard, there is a EPR, there is a list. So as you will be filing it for the first time or applying it for the first time, you click on the EPR and click on the EPR form, and this page opens up. Now in this page, you can see there are 7 steps, which is basic details, alternate authorized person, table 1, table 2, awareness, RoHS, enclosure A, documents, view and submit. This is the different tabs in which the different requirements and different required information are required to be submitted. Now, the first one is the basic details, wherein the company details are required to be provided. The company's authorized person details needs to be provided. In the next tab, where you can provide alternate authorized person, and you can add list of people on the name where you can add them as alternate authorized person into the portal. Moving on, then you need to provide the sales of the electronic items which we said, okay, we are dealing in. For example, over here, and you have to provide the details, the start year of the sales of those products. So you keep on selecting and telling them, okay, this is the product I have started selling in this particular year, which table 1 asked for. In the same table, once you have kind of listed down which are the items I deal in, then they will be asking you the sales quantity, which are in weight and in metric tons. And you have to start giving its year-wise sales for those particular equipments and items. And there are a lot of guidance which you can see. We will be sharing on this PPT to or everybody who has joined in, and you can see this guidance which will help you for filing your application smoothly. Now, once you have inputted your sales on the basis of which financial year you have sold the quantum, then it will show you the estimated generation, and which is the estimated generation of quantum of e-waste generated on the basis of average useful life. So this is through, what estimated generation, which will be auto reflected once you input the details of sales in quantum in metric ton. Moving ahead, once you have given the sales of these products, the next thing comes up is the details of providing the awareness plan for related to e-waste. So you have to give a little detail of proposed seminars, target audience, frequency of conducting the seminars, details of proposed workshops, a targeted audience and audience type of for workshop, the proposed advertisement you will give, and you will also have to give a document in which what is your plan and strategic plan for creating awareness around it and electronic waste disposal around it. So this is for the awareness related details. In the RoHS tab, there's no detail as such has been required, but you have to give a self declaration which is readily available, and it's just that we need to assign it and upload a digital seal on this declaration and upload this document for the declaration as well. It simply talks about that we hereby declare that the technical documents on RoHS as per European norms are available with us and will provide for verification on CPCB officials wherever required. Moving on, over here, once you have given the sales, once you have given the in which year you have sold those equipment and items which in which the producers deal in, The next steps in enclosure A is required to give is the unit weight of those materials, date of placing on market on each model. Model wise detail are required to be provided in enclosure A. And it's a big list, and for which we have kind of created a software again, because there's a long list now people come up with, and there's a lot of details they require. So each model wise detail they're asking to upload, and then you have to you have to put that whether those particular model or equipment is compliant with the RoHS or no. So all these detail for each equipment model wise needs to be provided in the registration. Now coming to the second last part for the registration process, wherein all the documents required to be uploaded. Now this copy of permission or from the relevant ministry or department for selling this product, the GST certificate or the license certificate needs to be provided. The GST license or permission document needs to be attached, which is not mandatory, but the first one is the mandatory. The third one is the consolidated statement of sales certified by a CS. So a CS certificate is required, for which we have kind of created a solution for providing the CS certificate. And we have started, helping in this regard as well for companies to do it at one place to get the registration CS certificate at one place. So yes, the CS certificate is also required to be updated. We will have to again upload the declaration here for the RoHS compliance as per EN and European norm. Then CIN, the authorized person PAN, affidavit, which needs to be updated on the stamp paper, signed and sealed. Duly signed declaration, which is given under the SOP and the format provided by CPCB. Company incorporation certificate, the cover letter as per the format provided on the letterhead of the company and signed, and other documents if required to be uploaded. Now, coming back to this CA certificate, this is a CA certificate calculated done on the basis of particular different mechanisms in which the sales of the quantum are referred from certain authentic data, and maybe required physical verification of the weights if required could be done. So there are multiple ways in this which this could be helped and could be done. Moving on, as I said, there are multiple formats which has been provided, which you can see, in which the cover letter, in which we have to provide on our letterhead, and the content remains the same. Format for self declaration on the company letterhead, and the affidavit which needs to be posted and printed and signed on the stamp paper of rupees 100. Now coming back to a major important thing about the amendment. Once you have filed all the information under the application, and once you have paid the fees, it goes for approval, and let's suppose you got the registration. Then another option will start adding up, wherein you will see there is a EPR renewal, there is a EPR amendment, there is a history. Now focusing on the EPR amendment, once you click on the EPR amendment, these three tabs open up, which talks about are you going to amend the conversion and targets? Are you going to apply for conversion and target revision? Are you going to apply for amendment for name, address, or very importantly, addition of item, which they have added in this portal to ensure if the company is adding more and more new item going ahead, they can do very well do so and disclose on this portal. So this is from my side. Thank you, Ipshita. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Ipshita.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek, for taking us through the various rules, various amendments and the updates that we have seen in the e-waste management rules 2022. It was indeed, very in-depth knowledge for us that yes, how ROHS is an important component while we are going to apply for the e-waste management registration. Secondly, coming through the training of producers, yes, a step-by-step process indeed detailed out that how we should go ahead with the registration process. Thank you so much for giving us these insights.
Thank you,
Talking
Ipshita.
about AA Garg and Co. We are a consulting and we are a management consulting firm. We are practicing in the fields of EPR, ESG, corporate finance and business operations, and we also provide tech-enabled solutions. So you can see that yes, we have organized various webinars in the field of EPR, running from plastic waste management, e-waste management, waste tire, and battery waste all along. So in any case, you have challenges, you find difficulties around fulfilling compliances of EPR under any of these rules, please feel free to reach out to us for any of your queries, and we will be there to serve you. We have an in-depth experience here. We have worked for Fortune 500 companies and have worked in immense industries, starting from FMCG, oil and chemicals, pharmaceuticals, automobile, manufacturing and packaging industry, electrical and electronic goods, e-commerce, and so on and so forth. We have a team of multidisciplinary experts and partners who are armed with experience, which enables us to provide last mile solutions to our clients. Uh, Moving on, I would also like to introduce our product here, which is known by EPR Assist, which helps in answering to all your compliances of EPR. This is a beautiful product which talks not just about compliances, but also about consulting wherever, at whichever spot you are facing any kind of issues or any kind of challenges. This is a one-stop solution for you. This has been developed for you. We have been dealing in this industry since half a decade now, and we have looked over through various kinds of issues that the companies have been facing, with what kinds of challenges they come to us and seek solutions. So this one-stop solution helps in getting the solution out of all the compliances that are answered or asked in the EPR under each of these rules. So yes, be it registration, be it your concurrent compliances, be it your annual returns filing, your portal governance, your consulting related to regulatory, various kinds of consulting, we are there to support you. So yeah, please feel free to reach out to us. Our numbers are mentioned here. So please note them down and please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.